If you could only eat one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Let's talk about that.
Man Up with Mark. Mark talks about everything under the sun. You may agree with him, and again, you may not.
So, I was talking with my wife the other day, and we were talking about, the normal thing. What are we going to have for dinner? What's for dinner? What do you want? That normal thing that always drives me up the wall. That's on a past podcast of mine. But when we were talking about that, we jokingly started kidding each other. You know what? What if there was only one type of food in the world, and that's all you could eat? Would you be all right with that? And then it got into, wait a minute. Let's pick the one type of food that we'd want to eat for the rest of our lives, so we wouldn't have to think about it anymore.
Do you think?
Let's eat just once a day, maybe twice, but it would always be that same dish, that same item of food. What would it be? So I thought I would do a very unscientific survey, and I asked all of my children and some family members what their one food would be, one type of food would be that they would eat for the rest of their life if that's all they had to eat. What would it be?
This is important.
It was hard getting it through these people that it could only be one type of food. It could only be one dish. It could only be made one certain way, and that's how you would have this one dish or this one type of food for the rest of your life.
Simple.
My sister came up with, hey, this is easy. I'll have pasta. That way I could have spaghetti or ravioli, or I could do this, I could do that. I could have macaroni and cheese. I could do... No. One type of food, one dish. Macaroni and cheese or spaghetti. Yes, it's pasta, but it can only be one type. That's it.
Got it.
So then it got a little bit difficult. Now, there were other members of the family. My stepdaughter and my daughter-in-law, they figured it out and came up with one dish, one type of food that they would eat for the rest of their life. Stephanie, she's my stepdaughter, she came right out, boom, warm bread and butter. Just warm bread with butter. That's it. Just warm, fresh bread and butter.
Got it.
Okay, that's interesting. My daughter-in-law, eggs. Okay. I had to ask her what type of eggs, what kind of eggs. Would they be chicken eggs? Would they be duck eggs? Would they be quail eggs? And would they be fried, boiled, poached, scrambled? You get it?
Got it.
Yeah. So all I got from her was eggs. My sister-in-law came up with a good one, and I gotta say it pretty much handles all the food groups. She said a hamburger. You had her hamburger on a bun with lettuce, tomato, mustard. I can't remember the other items on it. But they pretty much, you had the meat for your protein, you had the bun for your grain and your bread, and you had the lettuce for your vegetable. You had the tomato, which is actually your fruit group. Tomato is actually a fruit. It's not a vegetable. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get some comments on that. Go ahead and comment away.
Go ahead.
You'll be wrong. Tomato is a fruit. It's not a vegetable. But I thought that was a good answer. A hamburger with lettuce and tomato and all of the garnishments. And yeah, that's her one meal. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. My brother-in-law, he came up with a good one. Sweet potatoes.
What the fuck?
Now, I don't know whether they're just raw sweet potatoes or mashed sweet potatoes or sweet potatoes with brown sugar and marshmallows on it. He didn't specify. He just said sweet potatoes. It's an interesting food. You know, everybody else came up with normal things like chicken and, hamburger or, pizza. Yeah, pizza was a common subject from my family and my kids. Yeah. And, again, I had to say what type of pizza. You know, is it a cheese pizza? Is it a pepperoni pizza? It just can have one type of pizza. That's all. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what's Mark's one food, one type of food he would eat if that's all he could eat for the rest of his life? Well, that's where a dilemma comes with this episode. I don't know what my one food would be. Again, not having favorites of anything, like from my previous podcast, I don't have a favorite of anything. So, I don't know. Would I go for, again, it's not one of my favorite things, but would I go for the hamburger idea? I might have to add to that and go cheeseburger. You know, that way I'd have the cheese. I would have my meat, I'd have my dairy, I'd have my bread, I would have my vegetables, I would have my fruit. Yeah, I might do that. A cheeseburger. I'd go one step above my sister-in-law and make it a cheeseburger. My boy Mark, he went really fancy and said he'd eat chicken marsala for the rest of his life. Okay, that's one dish. And it is tasty. I do like it myself. If I go to an Italian restaurant and I've never been to that Italian restaurant and they have chicken marsala on the menu, I'm going to have it. Yeah, I'm going to try it. So that was a good pick, Mark. I like that. Way to go! So yeah, that's where we're at. My lovely wife, she couldn't give me an answer. No. She said, I'd have an Italian-Mexican dish. And I said, well, what would that be? Oh, a lasagna taco. Okay. And she shook her head and said, no, not that. I don't know. So I never got a straight answer from her either. So there you go. This was a hot topic. This was important.
Super important.
So I want to know from you guys and gals out there, throw me some comments. What would be the one food that if you had to only eat one food for the rest of your life, one type of food, one dish, what would it be? Yeah, I'd like to know. Also, if you would please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, I'd appreciate it. I would also appreciate if you would donate to my Patreon. Patreon.com/manupwithmark. Okay, so that was an important topic for the day, wasn't it?
Well, this was stupid.
We'll talk more tomorrow. See ya.
If you have a question or comment, email Mark at manupwithmark.com.